Manitoba is in the grip of a snowstorm, and some areas could get 2 feet of snow by tomorrow. So is this bad news for farmers? This is an important province, of course, for agriculture. It accounts for a little over a tenth of Canada's cropland. We hope to get now to Ryan Truchelut. He is President and Chief Meteorologist at WeatherTiger. I think we are connecting with him, but let's have a quick look at wheat prices, because wheat, of course, is another commodity under severe upward pressure with these supplies from Ukraine cut off. You can see losing a little bit of altitude today. Now, Bloomberg says that Russian grain is still making its way to the big customers. Egypt, Turkey, and Iran. And of course, those nations, they need to feed big populations. And in Egypt, anyway, your Egyptian family is used to getting subsidized bread. So apparently, almost 900,000 tons of wheat have been loaded into Russian ports so far this month. That's in April, in line with what happened in March, according to research cited by Bloomberg. So it looks as though the stuff is still getting out. Let's have a quick look, though, at nutrient stock, maybe, because that stock's been trading at record highs over the past few weeks. You can look at that, just cresting, because high corn prices mean big demand, potentially anyway, for fertilizer. This crop responds so well. Let's have a look at soybeans, because we just keep seeing this upward pressure on food prices around the world. There are soybeans up 21% in the past year, because Ukraine is a huge source of the world's sunflower oil, and that is among the world's great oils. The interesting question here, of course, is in the, I shouldn't say developing countries, but non-OECD countries, what is the impact going to be on populations that do have to spend an awful lot more of their income on food? We know that food globally has gone to record highs. Okay, so supply chains, they've been the story over the past 2 years, the huge snarls in our global system. Let's take a look now at a conflict on the southern U.S. border. Truck drivers say they're protesting against new inspections imposed by the governor of Texas. They have been causing big backups. Now, the governor says the Biden administration isn't doing enough to secure the border. ABC has more in this report.
This morning, the fight over immigration policy between the state of Texas and the White House is intensifying. Governor Greg Abbott recently ordered commercial trucks coming from Mexico to undergo extra inspections, a move that led to major backups at the border, with some truckers waiting 30 hours to enter the U.S.
They turned us back around. They sent us back because it is blocked.
Truckers protested, setting up blockades like this one in Juarez. And in the process, 18 trucks were burned, apparently by the cartels. Yesterday, Governor Abbott relented. He agreed to ease the inspections at one border crossing. But some of the biggest bottlenecks have been elsewhere. This morning, the White House calls it all a publicity stunt.
These actions are impacting people's jobs and the livelihoods of hardworking families in Texas.
The new policy in Texas comes in response to the Biden administration lifting Title 42, the Trump-era public health order that allowed Border Patrol to turn away illegal migrants to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The CDC is ending Title 42 next month, prompting concern in Texas and other border states about a looming surge of migrants. Governor Abbott already responding by giving migrants free bus rides from Texas to Washington, D.C. The first bus arrived in the Capitol yesterday, and the White House sarcastically thanked Abbott.
These are all migrants who have been processed by CBP and are free to travel, so it's nice the state of Texas is helping them get to their final destination.
Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
Let's get back to that snow in Manitoba. It could be good news for farmers. Ryan Truchelut joins us now, Chief Meteorologist at WeatherTiger. Ryan, thanks very much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So obviously Manitoba, Western Canada, plagued by drought last year. This snow cover could be good news for this season?
I do believe it is good news for the agricultural regions of Manitoba specifically. over the last 36 hours or so, the important agricultural growing regions of south central and southwestern Manitoba have picked up anywhere between an inch and an inch and a half of what we would call liquid equivalent precip, which is if you melt the snow down to the water, then that's what you would get. And typical accumulation of precipitation in those agricultural regions in April is around an inch. So we're talking about a couple days in which over a month of precipitation has fallen in southwestern and south central Manitoba.
Wow. Now, is the soil very dry after last year?
It is. We have seen some improvement across Manitoba. During 2021, the region was in what we would call extreme or exceptional drought. There has been some improvement over the winter months, and currently Manitoba's agricultural zones are in what we would call moderate drought or some isolated regions in severe drought. So there's been some improvement. Getting another inch and a half is going to do some important work to ending that long-term drought or heading in that direction anyway. It'll improve the soil moisture conditions going into planting season.
Now, Manitoba's huge crops include canola, red spring wheat, soybeans and oats. Are any of those four particularly vulnerable to drought, or any of those four particularly likely to benefit here?
I would say of those four, soy is probably the most water intensive in terms of needing some decent precip and pulling from the topsoil. But, this is, I think the one that's economically the most sensitive this year is wheat, simply because, well, two main reasons. One, we've lost a lot of the acreage in the Black Sea region due to war. And two, the key growing regions in the southern plains of the United States, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, those are regions that remain in exceptional or extreme drought. So, there's a supply crunch with wheat, and anything that can ameliorate that even a little bit is helpful to global ag markets.
And we've only got 30 seconds left. I know it's the biggest potato producer. Are potatoes relatively a big crop, though, in Manitoba?
There's some potato growing there.
Okay. Okay. We better leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. It's great to have a good news story for farmers. Ryan, really appreciate your giving us the time.